Let me tell you about the wildest thing that ever happened to me in suburbia. And listen, if you think HOA drama is just petty squabbles over lawn height and mailbox colors, buckle up, because this one's got everything. Shiny boats, secret deeds, a power-hungry neighbor who makes Cruella de Vil look chill, and the kind of neighborhood plot twist that could get Spielberg on the phone. No joke, the whole thing started with a piece of paper that, at first glance, looked like a coupon for discounted mulch. Turns out, it was my first citation from the Harbor Ridge HOA, hand-delivered with the kind of passive-aggressive flair that really should be reserved for soap operas. Your watercraft violates community reflectivity standards. Please dull the finish or face fines. Yeah, I had to read that 3 times just to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. There I was, standing in my driveway with my coffee going cold, staring at this letter and thinking, Karen Peton, you've officially lost it. For context, Karen is the HOA president, the kind of person who was probably born with a clipboard in her hand and a rulebook under her arm. And my boat, the Silver Striker, was sitting there gleaming in the sun like a freshly unwrapped sports car. Did I spend $8 grand on that chrome wrap? Sure did. Regrets? Zero. It's a boat. It's supposed to be shiny. You know what I mean? Now, I'd only moved to Harbor Ridge 3 years earlier. The place is built around Lake Serenity. Picture perfect homes, kids with ice cream, the whole American dream. I got my house from this old guy, Harold Crestwood, who practically gave it away. He just wanted out, kept mumbling about petty tyrants and bureaucratic nightmares while signing the papers. Should have known, right? So the next day, I'm washing my boat, minding my business, and here comes Karen, marching up my driveway in her blazer and heels, tape measure swinging from her belt like she's the sheriff in town. She's got that smile that says, "Good morning, but also, I hope you step on a Lego." She didn't even let me put the hose down before launching into her spiel. "I see you haven't addressed the violation yet." I told her, "Karen, it's a boat, not a disco ball. It's designed to reflect sunlight. That's literally the point." She just clicks her pen like she's about to write me a speeding ticket. The bylaws clearly state that all watercraft must maintain a non-disruptive appearance. Your boat's reflectivity index exceeds acceptable parameters by 47%. You ever laugh so hard you can't breathe? That was me. She measured my boat's reflectivity index. Who does that? The community has standards, Mr. Harrison. If we let one person break the rules, chaos. She looked around like expecting a riot. Your boat is causing complaints. I said, "From who?" She shuffled her papers. "That's confidential." She gave me 72 hours to comply. And here's where things get interesting. "Karen," I asked, "do you even know who owns Lake Serenity?" She rolls her eyes. "The community owns it. Common area, obviously." Wrong. And let me tell you, nothing gets me going like a challenge that involves paperwork and proving someone wrong. That afternoon, I head over to the county records office, expecting a wild goose chase. Instead, I meet Dolores, the sweetest county clerk you ever met, and in about 10 minutes, she pulls up the property records for Lake Serenity. And there it is, not HOA property at all. Nope. The owner is HC Enterprises LLC. Now, those initials seem familiar. Then it hits me, Harold Crestwood. So I dig deeper, and wouldn't you know it, when Harold sold me the house, he transferred his company, and with it, the lake, directly to me. I own the entire lake and didn't even know it that I spent 2 days with my lawyer, Robert Blackstone, a guy whose sense of humor is darker than a cup of diner coffee at midnight, just to make sure I wasn't missing something. He looks over the paperwork and says, "Congratulations. Not only do you own Lake Serenity, but every rule the HOA ever made about the lake is worthless. You know how sometimes life gives you lemons, and sometimes it hands you the entire lemonade stand? Yeah, that was me. 3 days later, I show up at the monthly HOA meeting. Karen's already in full swing, running through her usual list of violations, looking for new souls to torment. When she gets to my name, she sounds like she's announcing a public execution. Mr. Harrison has failed to comply with the watercraft regulation. I move to fine him $2,000. I stand up, stroll to the front, and drop copies of the property records on the table for every board member. Actually, Karen, as you'll see, I own Lake Serenity, the entire thing, which means the HOA can't regulate what I do on my property. You ever see someone's face go from red to purple in real time? Karen scanned those documents like she was looking for a bomb. This has to be a mistake. I just pulled up the deed on my phone. Nope. All legit. One of the board guys, James Fitzgerald, who's a lawyer himself, takes one look and says, he's right. We have no jurisdiction. That's when Karen loses it. Fine. Then you can't use any HOA facilities, pool, tennis courts, nothing. I shrugged. Okay, but that also means none of you can use my lake. No more July 4th parades. No more fishing. Nothing. Suddenly, every house in the neighborhood, all those places sold as lakefront property, just lost their biggest perk. You could hear the panic set in. Karen started to crack. You can't do that. I smiled. I absolutely can. But I'm willing to lease access back to the community. $50,000 a year should cover it. Some folks called it extortion. James, the lawyer, just shook his head. No, it's business. He owns it. Karen's hand was shaking now. This isn't over. I'll sue. I handed her another folder. Every illegal fine the HOA collected for lake violations in the last 5 years, almost $40,000. You might want to start refunding those, with interest. That night, I chained off the boat launch and hung a giant private property sign. By noon the next day, my phone was blowing up. Neighbors pleading for access, some threatening lawsuits, some straight up offering cash under the table. The best, though, was Karen calling in tears. Please, my real estate business depends on this. I have 3 houses in escrow. If buyers find out, I'm done. I told her I'd think about it. Yeah, that happened. That evening, the local news van rolled up. I stood by the silver striker, shiny as ever, telling the reporter the whole story. She couldn't believe it. So, you're being fined for a shiny boat on your own lake? I nodded. The next morning, it was all over social media. Memes, t-shirts, you name it. My boat, my lake, my rules. Karen's business was hit with 1-star reviews faster than you could say karma. The Real Estate Commission opened an investigation. It was like watching the Death Star explode, but with more paperwork and fewer lasers. 3 days later, an emergency HOA meeting. Karen had resigned. James took over, and after some frantic number crunching, he announced the HOA had to refund all lake-related fines, pay for legal fees, and hit every homeowner with an $8,000 assessment. I sat there, sipping my coffee, watching the meltdown. When they finally asked if I'd offer a lease, I said, sure, $1 a year, but on my terms. Karen was banned from the lake forever. The HOA could never regulate the water again. And, my favorite part, they had to recognize, in writing, that the Silver Striker was officially the shiniest, most beautiful boat on Lake Serenity. Everyone voted yes. 2 weeks go by. Life's good. Then I get served. Karen suing me for emotional distress. My lawyer nearly fell out of his chair laughing. The judge tossed it so fast, he barely finished his coffee. But Karen wasn't done. She tried to get the neighborhood to force me to sell. Instead, people started serving her with small claims suits for all the bogus fines she'd charged. Even Tom Ashford, the old vet she fined $300 for fishing, showed up at her door with court papers. Final blow? The Real Estate Commission suspended Karen's license for 18 months and fined her $25,000 for lying about lake access. Add up the fines, the refunds, the assessment, and her legal bills, she was out nearly $80,000. Last time I saw her, she was loading boxes into a U-Haul. Didn't even wave goodbye. And that's how a shiny boat, some buried paperwork, and a little stubbornness turned the queen of the HOA into an urban legend, and me into the unofficial king of Lake Serenity. Wild, right? But here's the thing. Was I right to play hardball? Was Karen really the villain, or just stuck in a broken system? Should HOAs have this kind of power at all? Let me know in the comments. Whose side are you on, and what would you have done? Community, justice, or just good old-fashioned revenge? Let's hear it.